from Dhaka, this is Tahmina Nupur and you are watching BSS News. At first, the headlines. Chief Advisor urges UNOs to make upcoming polls historic and memorable. President assures Election Commission of all-out support for fair and meaningful polls. Finance Advisor for boosting tax GDP ratio, modernizing tax administration. Asif Nazrul for safeguarding reforms for next course of advancement. Ukraine faces military aid shortfall as Europe struggles to plug United States gap. Now the details. Chief Advisor urges UNOs to make upcoming polls historic and memorable. Chief Advisor Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus has described the upcoming Jatiya Sangsad election as a historic opportunity to build a new Bangladesh in the post-mass uprising context. He urged all Upazila Nirbahi Officers to make the polls historic and memorable through fair and flawless management. He was addressing UNOs, Divisional Commissioners, Deputy Commissioners and Cabinet Division officials through a video conference from the State Guest House, Jamuna today. Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus said that history has given the nation a rare opportunity and warned that missing it could cause the country to stumble. He said previous elections under the last regime were not real elections but acts of fraud. He reminded officials that the upcoming polls carry historic responsibility and that the government's success depends on how sincerely the UNOs carry out their duties. He put emphasis on both the election and the referendum, saying that the election covers the next 5 years, while the referendum will guide the next 100 years. He instructed the newly appointed UNOs to ensure a peaceful and festive voting environment. He asked them to visit all polling stations, speak with all concerned groups, and work to prevent misinformation and rumors. He also highlighted the need to ensure women's proper access to polling stations. Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus compared the officials to midwives, saying a good midwife ensures a good outcome. He asked them to begin detailed planning now as the election schedule will be announced soon. President assures Election Commission of all-out support for fair and meaningful polls. President Mohammad Shahabuddin has assured full support and cooperation to the Election Commission to ensure that the upcoming 13th Jatiya Sangsad elections and the referendum are free, fair and meaningful. Election Commission Senior Secretary Akhtar Ahmed briefed reporters at Nirbachan Bhavan in Agargaon this afternoon after the meeting. Earlier in the morning, Chief Election Commissioner A.M.M. Nasiruddin met President Mohammad Shahabuddin at Bongo Bhavan to discuss the overall preparations and the announcement of the election and referendum schedule. Election Commissioner Abdul Rahman El Masood, Begum Tahmid Ahmed, Muhammad Anwarul Islam Sarkar and Brigadier General retired Abul Fazl Muhammad Sanaullah, along with the Election Commission Senior Secretary, accompanied him. Briefing the media, Election Commission Senior Secretary Akhtar Ahmed said the President informed them that the Commission was moving in the right direction and that he would provide whatever support is needed for a fair and meaningful election. The Chief Election Commissioner updated the President on the voter list and the latest status of political party registration. The President also asked detailed questions about holding the election and the referendum on the same day, the preparation of ballot papers, their colors, distribution procedures, voting duration, and the vote counting method. After receiving explanations, he expressed satisfaction with the preparations. Akhtar Ahmed said the President showed particular interest in postal voting and asked about its procedures and technical aspects. He said the President was pleased to know that experts would handle these matters. Finance Advisor for boosting tax GDP ratio, modernizing tax administration. Finance Advisor Dr. Saleuddin Ahmed has called for raising the country's tax to GDP ratio by modernizing the tax administration and making revenue management more taxpayer-friendly, IT-friendly and business-friendly. He was addressing a seminar marking VAT Day and VAT Week 2025 at the Multi-Purpose Hall of the Revenue Board building in Sher-e-Bangla Nagar today. Dr. Saleuddin Ahmed said Bangladesh must strengthen domestic resource mobilization instead of relying heavily on foreign loans and grants. He highlighted the urgent need to curb VAT leakage and widen both VAT and income tax coverage. He said VAT collection in Bangladesh is still very low compared to the size of the economy. He said that VAT often does not reach the government treasury because of leakage at the retail and business levels. He said both businesses and consumers must treat VAT as a national obligation. He urged customers to demand VAT invoices and said paying VAT ultimately benefits people through better public services. Dr. Salehudin Ahmed also warned that Bangladesh cannot fulfill its development goals without strengthening domestic revenues, as low income restricts spending on sectors like education, healthcare, and social protection. He said increasing both VAT and income tax coverage is essential and that taxpayers will contribute willingly when they trust that their money is used properly. He asked the National Board of Revenue to widen the system, modernize processes, and simplify filing and payments through an IT-driven and hassle-free approach. He also suggested reducing dependence on supplementary duties and strengthening non-tax revenues. He said people will not hesitate to pay VAT if the system is easier and enforcement is stronger. He expressed optimism that ongoing reforms will create a more modern and streamlined system for the next government. Asif Nazrul for safeguarding reforms for next course of advancement. Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Advisor Dr. Asif Nazrul said today that the reforms introduced by the interim government must be protected as future progress depends on them. He told a high-level event marking International Human Rights Day at Hotel Intercontinental in the city. Dr. Asif Nazrul said two reforms are fully secured: the restoration of the caretaker government through a Supreme Court judgment and the establishment of the Supreme Court Secretariat, which the Supreme Court itself will safeguard. He said these ensure a permanent caretaker system and an independent judiciary. He said that upcoming laws, including the Human Rights Ordinance and the Ordinance on Enforced Disappearance, may face opposition because they strengthen accountability. He said civil society will defend these. Reforms in the CRPC and CPC have already made faster justice possible. He urged the public to recognize the reforms achieved so far and understand the limitations behind unfinished work. Dr. Asif Nazrul also highlighted the new Independent Police Commission, saying its repeated recommendations will create pressure on any government and strengthen accountability. The program was organized by the Legislative and Parliamentary Affairs Division and joined by several advisors and international representatives. Ukraine faces military aid shortfall as Europe struggles to plug United States gap. Military aid for Ukraine has fallen sharply in the second half of 2025 as Europe failed to make up for the halt in United States support, according to new data from the Kiel Institute. The report was released today. The institute said Europe pledged almost 20 billion euros between March and June, but fewer than 8 billion euros between July and October. This led to the second lowest 4-month aid total since Russia's 2022 invasion. Total support for the first 10 months of the year stands at 32.5 billion euros. The report says Ukraine needs 9.1 billion euros more to match the previous annual average and 5.1 billion euros to avoid the lowest yearly level on record. Kiel Institute's Ukraine support tracker head Professor Christoph Trebesch said Europe could not sustain its earlier pace and warned that 2025 may become the year with the lowest new aid commitments. The report noted that France, Germany, and the United Kingdom increased their allocations, but the gap left by the United States remained large. European leaders are now considering a loan for Kiev backed by future Russian reparations. The European Union has proposed using frozen Russian assets to fund 90 billion euros over 2 years, but Belgium has not agreed due to legal concerns. That's all for today. For more information, visit bssnews.net. Thanks for watching.